Hello. Hi, Finn. Can you hear me? Hi.
Hello,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, thanks. Yeah,
Super.
how's your day been?
It's been good. It's been quite a busy one. We had our board meeting this morning, so that took up until around midday, early afternoon. Then had a nice run in the sunshine, nice lunch. It's been burrowing away this afternoon. What about you?
Nice. Yeah, just been working really. I went home. I live in London normally, but I went home to my parents' house to quarantine. So I'm
Aha.
enjoying
So
the
getting all the home comforts, are you?
a little bit. I'm a bit. Yeah, it's a bit more like I don't live here anymore. I'm an
Yeah.
extra. But
Where
yeah, but it's fine. It's
are
nice.
you from?
I'm from near Bath in a town called Frome, in
Ah,
yeah, Somerset.
Southwest.
Yeah, West
You
Country.
don't have the accent.
No, I don't. I think I had it a lot more when I was growing up, and then yeah, I went to uni with a lot of people with a posher accent, I guess. And
Yeah. So did I. It takes it from you.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh, great. So I'm trying to think where we should start, but so you're happy for me to record and everything?
Yeah, is it helpful for me to kind of turn off my fan and stuff because I don't want you to have any background noise. I did a
No, I think that's
podcast.
fine.
It
Maybe
was a bit.
maybe that notification I could hear, but
That's a very good point. Let me turn off Slack. And let me at least just close my windows because I'm in Peckham, and you never
okay.
know what's going to happen in Peckham. Just give me a sec.
Cool.
Right, I'm all yours.
And so just to give you like a quick idea of yeah, the purpose, I guess, of the interviews and things that I've been doing. So essentially, it's aimed at sort of teaching marketing to entrepreneurs and marketers from the
Mhm.
experiences of people who have actually done it, and it's as simple as that, really.
Cool.
So talking about your experiences and your stories and just the insights you've learned along the way. It's yeah, I mean, and it seems to be going down well. Like a lot of people seem to be looking for sort of no frills guides to like how these things have done, listening to other people's stories, and some people I think feel reassured when there's a lot of people obviously have mistakes along the way or struggle along with
For
it.
sure.
Yeah. So would you okay? So if we start, would you mind just telling me like something like your 1 minute sales pitch for Pasta Evangelist?
Yeah, sure. You just tell me when, eh?
Yeah, let's go now. Good.
So, Pastor Evangelist, we are a delivery company delivering all across the UK the freshest artisan pasta and sauces. And basically, the premise is we want to bring the Italian restaurant to our customers' homes. So they receive, lovely handmade pasta, sauce, and then all they have to do is boil the pasta, heat up a sauce, combine, and then the idea is you have an almost sort of Michelin starred pasta experience in your own home, and anyone can do it. It's super convenient, um, and that's what we're doing.
Hmm. And so is that aimed at a particular group of people? Like, is it the London market or is that all over the UK, globally?
So when we started the business, we launched in London, and actually a lot of people told us what you're doing is going to be only accessible to the Notting Hill community, and you're going to really struggle to get wider uptake on this. But actually, what we've seen is our customers are all over the country. 70% of customers actually outside of the capital. And when I look through our orders, I see addresses literally in places I've never heard of, all the way up from the Scottish Highlands down to the Channel Islands to sunny Brighton to the west of Wales. So in terms of target demographic, if you like, I think what we've realized is pasta is quite democratic. Everybody likes pasta. It's consumed very widely and by everyone. And, as long as someone has a reason to consume our product, it can actually be for anyone.
Yeah, I can see that. I can imagine some people are going to be just, tired from work and not want to make food, and other people might be treating themselves or something.
That's absolutely right. I mean, what we see is, looking at the data, we see some people, have a weekly subscription and they get it delivered every single week. And there you can sense that it's more of a weekly occurrence versus a treat. And then you have others, who get it maybe every 2 or 3 months. And there you imagine it's, more of a special occasion, which I think is lovely. So we try and be there for those kind of different circumstances.
Definitely, that's nice. So, were you with Pasta Evangelist from the beginning? Like, what's your background with the company? Because I know you're a co-founder.
Yes.
So were you there?
Sadly, it wasn't my idea. It was the idea of my co-founder, Alessandro, who is from Italy. He's Italian, background in luxury goods, luxury smartphones, technology. I'm a Geordie, for what it's worth. I come from a tech startup background. And I basically Evangelist on day 2. So it was quite serendipitous. I was working at Amazon and I left Amazon quite quickly. It wasn't for me, great company, but I like smaller enterprises where I can really get stuck in. And as it happened, Alessandro and Chris, our other co-founder, were basically setting up the business in in somebody's basement, in a room with no internet and no light. So that was my first day in the office, if you like. I walked into that. And then it's been a journey between the 3 of us ever since, building, growing, developing, trying, all the fun, all the good moments, all the bad moments.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, that's a good segue into what I was going to ask you. Really, was, would you mind telling me the story of the company up until the point where you think it started to take off? Because I feel like there's like that moment, which, from my research anyway, where it might have taken off at that point, but it'll be good to see.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the first one that I really remember, I joined the business, as I say, on day 2, which was November 2017. And at that time, as I say, we were just delivering in London to quite a small number of people, as you can imagine. And my priority was to open it up nationwide, because, of course, if you can switch on, if you increase the size of your market overnight from 10, 12 million people to 65, 67 million people, your market's 6 times bigger. And the pool of people you're advertising or marketing to is also bigger, which means it's more efficient and cheaper to advertise more widely. So to answer your question, the first big sort of wow moment was when we switched on nationwide, i.e. we started delivering all over the country. There we saw an immediate uplift. And that was January 2018. That was the very first one where things started to look interesting. And at around the same time was also, we launched pasta subscriptions. So prior to that, our website was more like a menu in a restaurant where you would order, 1, 2, 3 items, but there was no expectation that you would come back to the restaurant a week later, 2 weeks later. So early 2018, we also innovated the pasta subscription, which had a huge knock-on effect in terms of retention, people coming back for more. So those were the 2 very early ones, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. So you expanded the market and then got people on a more recurring sort of basis.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, go. No, you go. Well, I was actually wondering if were you always in marketing from that point, and were you marketing at Amazon, and then were you always?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I was basically an in-house online marketing consultant, if you like, for Amazon. Where, if you imagine, on the Amazon platform, there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of brands, or vendors, as Amazon calls them.
Mhm.
And they all have an interest in increasing their sales within Amazon. Amazon has an interest in increasing their sales too. So Amazon basically has in-house resources to help boost those sales. So that's what I was doing there for a couple of big brands. And before that, I was at a German tech startup for a couple of years, which was incubated by Rocket Internet, the big German startup factory. It's not
Yeah.
not very nicely called that, but that's what I was doing and learned so much there.
Yeah. Well, was there a lot in that background that kind of worked in Pastor Evangelist, or was it all completely new? Was there loads of new things?
No, there's absolutely so much of it is transferable. I mean, the tech startup I was at was a laundry startup, and it had the kind of hackneyed name. The Uber for laundry is what we were doing.
Yeah.
You book a slot on an app. We came, picked up your clothes, washed them, laundered them, dry cleaned them, and returned them to the customers. It was kind of positioned at a very London and city centric audience.
I've used
What
that before, I think. What was the company?
So there are two big ones, or there were two big ones. One is ZipJet, where I was, which is the German company, also operating in France and Germany. And then the bigger player in the UK is called Laundrapp.
Yeah, I think I've used Laundrapp a couple of times.
Yeah.
I remember.
So, but,
Yeah. Sorry,
but
no, I was going to
so
be
many,
totally off topic. So
no worries.
you carry on.
Totally terrible. All online marketing focus, very, very much data-driven decision making. These are all things I've tried to establish at Pastor Evangelist in marketing since day one.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And what was so I know the company went on Dragon's Den.
Yes.
How were you doing before that? And yeah, what was that like? What was that experience like? And then what happened after that?
Sure. I mean, so on the question of kind of what was the impact or what was the before and after, Dragon's Den, it was broadcast in August 2018. Gosh, almost 2 years ago. And I think overnight, the business more or less doubled or trebled. So that gives you a sense of how impactful it was. It was huge. It was a massive deluge of orders, a very good problem to have, a little bit overwhelming at the time, but what an amazing experience. And I mean, what was it like? It's not every day you get to go on telly, let alone into the Dragon's Den. For me, it was great fun. They tore us apart, which frankly, I think some people go in and kind of cry or break down, and some people go in, with a bit of a sense of humor about it. And I knew they were going to be unpleasant. I expected it, and they did they did themselves justice. They were ferocious.
Really?
But yeah, I mean, what you see on TV is exactly what it's like. There's no special effects, or there's no secret edits or cuts. It is what you see is what you get, and the only difference is the Dragon's Den. And when you're in there, it's more like for an hour, and then they cut it down, obviously, into maybe a 5, 6, 7, 10-minute max pitch, which is indeed what they did for us with the best part for TV. But
which are the bits where they grill you really hard, are they?
Exactly, and where they come out with little quips and eccentric ways of deriding your business. But it was we didn't really go in expecting to get it. We did our best. They didn't like it. One of them said we were pasta la disaster. 2 years on, actually, because we filmed it 2 years ago in May 2018. 2 years on, we're here. Our annual run rate revenues, for what it's worth, must be maybe about 20 times higher than they were when we went on Dragon's Den. So
they missed out.
I wouldn't like to be unpleasant, but we're certainly vindicated, I think, in what we're doing and trying to achieve.
So did you go into that experience thinking this is going to be a PR opportunity regardless, or were you actually trying to fundraise?
I mean, obviously you're more than aware that it's going to be a good boost for the business, especially if you're a small business. Of course, it was on our mind. Um, you do go in genuinely wanting it to go well, but as you point out, if it doesn't go well, there is that silver lining. So for us, even though we got absolutely roasted, and of course it was a little bit embarrassing, when your family and friends and the rest of the business community watch you on national television being called a disaster and delusional and so on. But
Yeah.
absolutely, the silver lining is the business uplift, and for us, it was therefore worth it.
Yeah. I mean, out of interest, what was it that they thought was a disaster? Because obviously it did go well,
Yeah.
afterwards. And you've raised lots of money since, or you've raised 2 rounds since.
Yes.
So what
So I
else?
mean, I think there were two things. One is the amount of capital we asked from them, which, if my memory serves, was 70K. Normally, they tend to make kind of smaller investments than that, more 20, 30, 10, etc. So
Right.
already on a back foot with them, if you like, by asking for that larger amount. Um, and secondly, they, the amount of our business for stake that we were offering in return for that 70K led to a proposed valuation that they found disagreeable. And that's where they went on to call us delusional and so on. In essence, what I took away from it that I really liked was they really liked the product. Actually, they all commented the pasta tastes great, it looked great, it sounded great, the product was solid. They just frankly didn't agree with the valuation at the time, and fair enough. We were recording in May 2018. We only really seriously started growing the business a few months beforehand. So it's fair enough. We were an untested, you know, proposition.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
they,
I think the few of them that I've watched, they've been. I mean, they're savvy investors, and they obviously, I think, will charge a premium because of who they are and they're famous and they can do a lot
exactly.
for you. And they're aggressive. I have seen it. They are aggressive. They think that they should get a better deal than anyone else.
Yeah,
So I can see that.
yeah, and I mean, if there's one way I look at it as well, Gusto went on Dragon's Den. Gusto is actually, I believe, maybe I'm misspeaking, but as of today, I believe have just closed a round of 25 million pounds, having raised something like 100 million pounds of capital into their business to date, and they've grown exponentially. I don't know what their metrics and figures look like further down the P&L, but
Mm-hmm.
in pure growth terms, it's eminent. They've done exceptionally well. They've created a big brand, a real brand that's delivering to hundreds of thousands of British homes, I presume, on a monthly basis. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying the Dragons made a mistake with us. It's a bit cocky to say, but as I say, I think we've at least vindicated for ourselves that we probably did deserve the valuation that we were pitching for. Certainly our valuation is much higher now, and that's live.
Yeah, yeah. If only you could see in the future as an investor.
If only we all could. Yeah,
Yeah. Or go back in time.
quite.
So what is your, we talked briefly about, I mean, you talked about Gusto's building a big brand there. What would you say is, I mean, key or what is your brand, like, say, strategy, but then also what do you think are the key things you can do as a startup to build your brand?
So it's interesting because the second question you asked almost ties in the first one. The first one was kind of, what is your brand mission? I think what are you trying to achieve as a brand? What would be the end goal? And for us, that has always been to become the authority in fresh pasta. It sounds a little bit cheesy, it sounds a bit hackneyed, but actually, if when you're starting a business, you sit down on day one and decide what does success look like to us, not necessarily in a commercial or financial way, but spiritually, what are we trying to do here? What is the mission? And if you can distill that down into a sentence and keep that sentence in front of you and at the forefront of your mind every single day in what you're doing, it can really help focus the mind, focus your activities. You know, I often ask myself, is this furthering our cause to become the authority in fresh pasta? You know, do we want to start doing, people always say to me, Finn, why don't you do a range of dry pasta for people who want dry pasta? And then I think to myself, is this in line with what we're trying to do, which is to do a renaissance in fresh pasta? No. Do we want to start doing a pasta pizza business? No. And there's lots of different things that will come up over time that could be, you know, commercially advantageous. You could add products X, Y, and Z, but actually, if they're not in line with your core brand goal and what you're trying to get to, it's best not to be distracted, because the more distracted you are, the more diluted, you know, the outward appearances as well. It's, for me at least, it's been really important for us to have that laser focus and really squarely go after what we set out to go after on day one.
I love that. I think it's something that I think I have heard somewhat before, that it really, like, having a very clear sort of why behind you can help helps lead, like, not only your, like, your community, like who's going to get on board with it, but also your internal mission.
Absolutely.
Seems to be the case.
That's right.
So is that something, out of interest, is that something you put out there in your communications, or is that just something that all your communications live by? Like, do you say we want to be the authority in pasta, or do you say we want fresh pasta to have a renaissance, or do we, you know?
I mean, we're upfront about it. It's probably not something we'd kind of communicate as a marketing piece, for example, but certainly internally, when we're pitching the business or talking to investors, or, you know, if someone asks me, as you have on this call, what are you trying to do? What's the end goal? That's always the response. And, you know, whenever let's say someone new joins Pasta Evangelists, a new employee, the first thing we do with them is, you know, spend a good hour taking them through our company deck, our pitch deck, if you like, and really honing in on that message to become the authority in fresh pasta. So everyone's working to the same macro end goal, and everyone has that same sort of, the French term, raison d'être, or reason for being, and everyone's aligned on that. But we don't necessarily say, you know, in our Facebook ads, we want to be the authority in fresh pasta. We would use something softer, something more like, you know, bringing the fresh pasta renaissance to your home, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that, because it gives people, you put it, I guess you put it in their terms, and something that it is still clear that what you're trying to do. Yeah, I think that's good, and fresh pasta is great as well. I mean, I actually, after this was set up, I was looking to make fresh pasta, and the first one on Google was Pasta Evangelist, with a recipe. Yeah, with a recipe and a video with an Italian woman showing us how to do it. And it was great.
That's our wonderful Roberta.
Do you have someone like in-house doing that or something?
We do, yeah. So we have a team of what you call in Italian sfogliine, which essentially is a pasta chef. It's someone who makes pasta. A sfoglina, it's a feminine word. So you also have a pastai, which is the plural of pasta chef. But Roberta is an old school traditional, she won't mind me saying that, a traditional sfoglina, insofar as she actually grew up in Puglia, which is in the south of Italy. It's known to be a poorer part of the country and very traditional. And she grew up with her grandma, her nonna, learning to make all these different pasta shapes. And she says quite openly, you know, throughout my teenage years, I was confined to the kitchen. I had to learn how to make all these different shapes. And, you know, now she really is, to go back to the term I was talking about before, she's an authority on pasta. And what I love about Roberta is she speaks the language of pasta and tells the story of pasta, and in all its permutations in such a vivid and wonderful way. So Roberta leads all of our events. So at Pasta Evangelist, we do several events a week where, with the general public, we teach them how to make pasta. So Roberta fronts them. As you said, we also do videos, so people can go to YouTube online, search Pasta Evangelists, find a guide how to make ravioli, orecchietti, trofie, pappardelle, all sorts of different shapes. And I think it brings it to life a little bit more, having a real Italian pasta chef showing you the ropes in a homely, accessible way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, definitely, yeah, it's definitely very authentic. And
Yeah.
as you said, I thought what I was even showing my mum. I was like, how great is this woman? Like, so Italian, and so like this is who I want teaching me how to make
Absolutely.
pasta. What's your, like, from a marketing perspective? What's the like strategy behind that? Behind the, I guess, all of the content that you put out.
So I think there's kind of the short-term objectives, the long and the medium, and the long. It's a bit business speak to say that, or whatever, but it's true. I think in the short term, our marketing plan always revolves around the month in question. So every month we're trying to grow the business. This is what it's like, the reality of being in a fast-paced growth startup. We want to share every single month growth, month-on-month growth. So we're always trying to beat the previous month. So that's one part.
Is that
Second
in terms
part,
of traffic? Sorry, just to interrupt you there. Is that in terms of traffic or revenue, do you mean?
It's mainly revenues, to be honest. If we do better on traffic, great, but traffic is kind of a secondary point for us.
Okay. So your content is sort of aimed at, is it that kind of month-on-month growth in terms of revenue as well? That bringing more
so content, what we're doing, our content, yes, it has that short-term objective. We want to use content to drive sales in the short term. But then if you move to the longer term side of it, it's more about building the brand. So if you take an example of Roberta's pasta making video where she shows you how to make ravioli, we might use that video tomorrow to help sell pasta making kits. Yeah. We sell pasta making kits where we have all the tools that you need to make pasta. So we may put that video in an ad, for example, say, come along, make some pasta with Roberta, buy your kit today, limited time offer. It's a very short-term use of the content, but longer term, by simply having all of that content and making more content over time and making this content rank on Google, like you mentioned, you'd found it on Google. Yeah. This is a longer term thing, and this is all about us actually delivering our long-term objective, which of course is to be the authority in fresh pasta.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. I can see that really helping for brand awareness. And short term. Cool. Okay, that's super interesting. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I think let me just look at the questions I've got so I can
sure
where to go. Oh yeah. Okay. So you do a lot of sort of out of home marketing, like, well, what I would say like pop-up stands in Harrods and things like that.
Yes.
Obviously, maybe that's completely stopped right now. I also saw weddings and things like that, which I thought was really cool.
You saw what, sorry?
Is it weddings?
Yes, our catering.
Yeah. I was hoping I hadn't got that wrong.
No, you haven't.
Is that all part of the, I mean, is that more of a brand awareness thing, or is that like a genuine like revenue building?
It's a good question. The honest truth is everything we do more or less fulfills the short-term objective that I mentioned around the revenue growth, and the second one about brand. You kind of want everything you do to tick both boxes. Not only is it bringing you sales, but it's bringing you positive brand development, which is a little bit of a nebulous or unquantifiable concept. Brand development, what does it mean? But to give you an example, you mentioned Harrods. What we have in Harrods is not necessarily a pop-up, it's actually a permanent concession. So if you go to the Harrods food hall, you'll find a mini Pastor Evangelist store, if you like, a concession, a corner, where we have kind of a deli service and you can buy our fresh pasta there and then. You talk to our experienced pasta chefs behind the counter who can advise you and so on. We always called Harrods from day one. We wanted to have in Harrods the theatre of pasta. So not only were we selling pasta, we were also making pasta there. Every single day there's a tutorial on Harrods, so people can go and they can watch and they can take videos and speak to the chefs. So it's quite an interactive thing. And I think Harrods there, for example, is a great microcosmic example of what I'm saying about, yes, doing things to generate sales, such as selling product in Harrods, but also doing things that elevate your brand and take it to the next level, such as appearing in, being situated in one of the world's best, if not the best, department stores. Gives your brand an immediate boost. It adds credibility, it adds gravitas. And also doing the theatre of pasta in there. We don't make any money from doing kind of pasta shows for the general public in there, but it's all part of evangelizing what real pasta is about, which of course goes indivisibly with our brand mission to become the fresh pastoral authority.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. And there's such a strong association with being in a great place like that. Just
absolutely
there by everyone passing you by. Do you sorry, go on.
And actually, for us, that's one of the reasons Harrods was such an attractive opportunity for us, because we launched in Harrods in late 2018. We were still a very small business, but actually we became the pasta brand in Harrods. So let's imagine you're marketing your business to someone in Aberdeen, who has never seen your brand before. They have no idea what Pastor Evangelist is, but they come across one of your Facebook ads. Now, they click through to your website and visit, and then they see, this is a pasta brand that is stocked in Harrods. Immediately, for that person who otherwise doesn't know you, it helps to add a little bit of trust. It helps to foster that credibility, because if there's 67 million people in this country, I would guesstimate at least 95% of them know what Harrods is and have a positive sense of quality from Harrods. So we kind of linked ourselves to that, which helped us, as I say, to deliver that trust back in the early days and still now, and also foster an expectation of quality from our customers, which of course is what we strive to deliver.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I can see a huge credibility point. Well, I think all of the partnerships sort of things that I've seen, if it's Ocado, Deliveroo, it very much attached to big brands. And I think that's the same with the PR things I've seen. So actually, just to quickly talk about PR, do you do that in-house, or have you got an in-house do you have a PR agency helping you with getting into the big publications and things?
So from day one until day 700-ish, we didn't have a PR agency. We've been working with a PR agency who I'm happy to give a shout out to because they're fabulous. An agency called Bacchus, which is based in London. Very, very Bacchus PR, very experienced food and hospitality PR business, very, very seasoned, experienced professionals. We've been working with them for about 2 months, and we've had a huge amount of PR in recent days. Partly down to their expertise, partly down to the fact that COVID-19 has seen a massive interest in what home delivery services are doing. But prior to that, actually, we didn't use an agency. And the reason we didn't use an agency is, fortunately, Pastor Evangelist is quite a natural PR story. What we're doing is quite different. It's quite quirky. It's quite Italian. and for sure it's food and deliciousness related. So we found it
Interesting. Mhm.
quite easy to get coverage, frankly, because 9 times out of 10, if you have a friendly chat with a journalist and offer them some pasta, they're very likely to, trust me, speaking from experience, are very likely to take you up on the offer to try the pasta. And then, of course, if they like it, and if you're a little bit lucky and a little bit persistent as well, there's a chance that they might cover you. So we didn't see it as necessary because we were actually quite pleased with how we were doing, and we were getting also a lot of inbound PR, i.e., coverage that we didn't go looking for. But for sure, now that we've professionalized our PR efforts with Bacchus, it's become even stronger.
And I bet a little bit less work for you. Would that be fair to say?
It is and it isn't.
Suppose
It
you still
is
have to do it.
insofar as I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not compiling lists of journalists or thinking who am I going to reach out to and so on. But on the other hand, PR has now become a permanent fixture of Pastor Evangelist, and we're not doing it on a occasional basis where we've got some time to think about PR. It's now very much a weekly. What is the strategy? Chatting with our agency, coming up with constant plans, always touch. So it's kind of become an always on activity now. So in a way, it does take a bit more time, but actually the results we're getting are so disproportionately better and more frequent that it's undoubtedly worth it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, I think I was sort of complaining about PR this week because one of my friends has worked in PR for quite a while and has been helping me on the startup that I work for.
Yeah,
and it's just so difficult because it's not really like a sexy like software to be PRing about. So we're trying to find like different hooks and things. But then one of our other friends, he started a food company, which is a social enterprise where they kind of do intergenerational cooking.
Yeah,
and like
super easy to PR.
yeah, like overnight he got a video on, he got like an interview on Sky TV, got in the metro.
No, I
Yeah,
can
I was just like,
imagine.
God, it's so annoying. And they were dedicated, just to that company rather than like slipping
Yeah,
my name into a little
sure.
article. Yeah,
I
so
mean, I can completely feel your pain there. When I worked for the laundry startup, believe you me, trying to get coverage about a laundry company was nigh on impossible. Indeed, it was like getting blood from a stone. So I really feel pain. My kind of quick advice is if you're working with a dryish product, i.e. one that doesn't naturally induce PR, try and find a really clever, cheeky way to slot yourself into something bigger. I mean, for example, this is 4 years ago, I did a campaign for the laundry company where I said, laundry's a menace. People hate doing laundry. Why don't we liberate people from laundry? This concept of liberating Londoners from their laundry. Now, what can liberating a city look like? And I thought, I'm a bit of a history geek. I love history. I was thinking in the Second World War, what happened when a city was liberated? Well, imagery, videos of tanks rolling through the city to liberate the population. So I thought, let's get a bloody tank. So I managed to get my hands on a tank, and we actually drove a military tank through London, across Westminster Bridge, through the city, which of course was where all the bankers and our dry cleaning consumers were. And we literally drove a branded tank through London, several miles. We had loudspeakers. Exactly. We were liberating people from their laundry. We had performance artists running along with the tank. We had people, outside every tube station at rush hour. I think if you can do something really integrated and a bit different, that's the way you kind of get cut through when you're a dryer, if you like, proposition for the media to create something exciting for them.
Yeah, I like that. Like, just add something exciting on top of it, make it creative. Yeah, that's great.
Plus, you get photos for life, Ben. I've got photos of me sitting on a tank outside Westminster. I love it. I'm
That's
going to hang on
amazing.
to that on my deathbed.
Yeah, that that is amazing. I think the only problem I have with that is that we don't have maybe the budget, but I can do that. We can get creative and do it cheap.
Absolutely. I tell you, actually, Ben, what was one of my favorite ones that I saw about 6 or 7 months ago, and this was a real growth hacking exercise, no budget at all. A guy who had launched, I can't remember what the app was, but he'd done a new dating app, and he had taken a whiteboard, attached it to, with chains to a fence at Finsbury Square in London, in central London, and he'd written something like, "You cheating, BTard, you effing this. I can't believe you've done this to me. By the way, everyone, here's his Instagram handle. Go and tell him what he is."
No,
And wow, I can't believe this. This is scandalous. So, of course, the first thing I did was take a photo of it to share on my own social media, which helped it viralize. Second, I looked up this unfortunate person who ostensibly had been pulled out for their infidelity. And the clever person, it was actually the guy who had started the app. And he wrote in the profile, "Not a cheater, promise, so sorry to distract you. Just wanted to bring your attention to this amazing new app." And I thought that was so
no,
clever, because
yeah,
his only expenditure was a tenner on the whiteboard, and having a little bit of nerve to go and take a chance to attach that to the fence in public. But I thought that was a fantastic campaign.
that is yeah, that's brilliant. I'm going to have to put some serious thought into this, but I think
I
your
think
advice is going to be useful for everyone, to be honest. Getting
good. I
getting
think so.
creative. I like the idea, the concept of just sort of aiming for virality and fame of some kind
Absolutely.
for your company.
I think if you can capture people's sense of humor or imagination, you've done half of the job. Like what that guy did was a bit cheeky, and British people, I think, the British public like things that are cheeky, uh, and have a sense of humor to them. So I think if you do that, you're away.
Yeah, that's got a bit of it's got a bit of like outrage to it as well, hasn't it? It's like,
Bit of character, yeah.
yeah, great. I think that's all the questions. Is there anything you think I should ask you about, like anything that I'm missing that is like a really important piece of insight from the story of Pastor Evangelist?
Uh,
It's fine to say no as well.
I'm just trying to think. There's nothing off the top of my head, Ben.
Mhm.
So if you're happy, I'm fine.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. It's been great talking to you.
My pleasure. Likewise. Glad to contribute. Thanks for inviting me.
Let's stay in contact.
Cool. Sounds good.
Right. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, then.
Have a good
Bye.
evening. Bye.